Muldrotha the Gravetide versus Breya Etherium Shaper. Typically a very competitive deck, especially in 1 versus 1. We'll keep that because we can get into some good mana on turn 1. It's just a tapped Watery Grave into Mana Crypt and the Signet. And then we'll throw it back over to our opponent, which is Breya Etherium Shaper, 4 mana in every colour except green for a 4/4. Enters with a couple of Thopters, and for 2 and sack 2 artifacts you can either Lightning Bolt a player or Planeswalker, -4/-4 a creature, or gain 5 life. And they are just starting things out with a tap land of their own. Muldrotha the Gravetide is a 6/6, 6 mana Sultai commander. During each of our turns we can play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from our graveyard. Alright, if we hadn't drawn into a land there, I think I would have gone for the Lion's Eye Diamond to get our commander out, because we can play the 2 cards from our graveyard anyway. But in that case, I think we go for... what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, so we're just shy. I think we just go for a tap land with the Windswept Heath. Probably a Breeding Pool. And we'll just see if our opponent wants to play around counter magic. Okay, Talisman of Progress. This cycle has now been completed thanks to the Modern Horizons set, so very much looking forward to getting my hands on those as soon as they come out. As I'm sure everyone else is as well. Yeah, 2 mana ramp is somewhat lacking in EDH actually, and yeah, the sooner we can get into more ramp like that, the better as far as I'm concerned. Let me just go for a tapped Breeding Pool here, and then I can F6 through my opponent's turn. Okay, let's go for a land here. Green and black from a Bayou is okay there, and then we go in for our commander. And down comes Muldrotha. Then it's Lion's Eye Diamond. Now the Lion's Eye Diamond is tap, sack and discard your hand for 3 mana of any one colour. But if we go for the blue mana for Intuition, then Intuition will actually be in our graveyard, so we won't be able to cast it. We're going to have to wait a turn on that. Alright, our opponent has gotten their Breya out. So now we need to decide if we want to do something about that, and I dare say we do. Alright, Ancient Tomb is good, that's more mana for us. So let's play the Ancient Tomb, we'll turn that into some black mana because we're going to cast Ravenous Chupacabra. That is going to go after the Breya. And the more we can remove Breya, the better, because 1, she'll get more expensive, but also she'll have to start resorting to killing off her own mana rocks in order to get these abilities off. Now let's go for Intuition. And this allows us to search for 3 cards. Our opponent chooses one, and the others go into the graveyard. We'll go for Dance of the Dead, Entomb, and let's just go for a Consecrated Sphinx. I don't mind hard casting that next turn. They'll probably just give us the Consecrated Sphinx, but like I say, I don't mind hard casting that. No, they just give us the Entomb. Well, that's why we go for plays like that, because sometimes your opponent doesn't really know how to play around certain things, so let's go for Entomb before we discard it, because we're about to crack the Lion's Eye Diamond. And we'll grab a Sidisi Undead Vizier, because it's a good sack outlet, well, almost sack outlet. And we'll be able to recast it multiple times throughout the course of the game. Then we crack the Lion's Eye Diamond for mana. We go for Dance of the Dead onto the Consecrated Sphinx. And that will reanimate it, and we'll draw cards every time our opponent does. And then we'll cast the Lion's Eye Diamond from the graveyard. Is there anything else we can grab? Yeah, I don't think we have enough mana, do we? So let's just go for cracking that for blue. And we'll play the Sidisi's Faithful. And when that enters, we can exploit, and I'm actually going to exploit the Ravenous Chupacabra here, just in case they get Breya down again. And because we exploited, we can bounce a creature. We'll bounce one of those Thopters. And then when they ultimately block this Muldrotha attack, which I assume they're going to, then they'll be down a Thopter, and the least number of artifacts our opponent has in play, the better. But they decide not to block, so they obviously want to keep as many Thopters in play as possible. Or as many artifacts, I should say. We'll draw a couple of cards with the Consecrated Sphinx. Every time our opponent draws a card, we can draw 2. Life from the Loam is good to get some graveyard shenanigans going. And a Bane of Progress, I don't think we could have drawn a much better card against Breya. That will kill our Dance of the Dead and our Mana Rocks, but we can recast those easily enough with our commander. And there's some more Mana Rocks, and Izzet Signet and a Reflecting Pool. Reflecting Pool being a land. And then Thopter Engineer. So it looks like this might be some kind of Thopter tribal build. Okay, now I think we're going to pay for Dance of the Dead because we do want to start swinging in with flyers. Because I'm thinking that the Thopters are going to start blocking at some point. Alright, a Lightning Greaves isn't terrible, so why don't we... Well, we'll see what we can get going first. Yeah, we'll go for a land first of all. And then I think it's Lightning Greaves. We'll cast the Lion's Eye Diamond because we want to generate some black mana here. We'll get black from the Lion's Eye Diamond and discard our hand because we want to cast Sidisi, Undead Vizier. We'll get rid of the Sidisi's Faithful with the Exploit, and this will allow us to tutor for a card. And we'll go for Victimize here. Now we swing in again. There's a 5/7 flyer, a 6/6 and a 4/6 Death Touch. So that's a lot of damage coming through to our opponent. Just jumping with the Thopters, and that's fine with me because that's less artifacts in play. Draw a couple of cards again from the Consecrated Sphinx, thanks to our opponent drawing a card at the beginning of the turn. Not going to bother with Life from the Loam, we're in a pretty good position here. Reclamation Sage is just more artifact hate. If they go for Breya here, we can just blow it up. Okay, Divine Visitation, that is good with Breya. That is whenever a token enters under your control, it's a 4/4 angel with vigilance and flying. So 6 mana for 3 4/4s, 2 of which have flying and vigilance, is not bad. But we can deal with that with Reclamation Sage, so it's not the best thing for them really. And a Hangerback Walker, that will generate a Thopter when it dies. Now we need to kill the Divine Visitation before the Hangerback Walker dies because that will give them an angel. We'll put 2 mana into Dance of the Dead in order to untap the Consecrated Sphinx. We'll go for Life from the Loam during our draw step here. Yeah, we just clear some lands off the top, so that works out nicely. Definitely getting down a Reclamation Sage, because like I said, we need to get rid of the angel generation. Yeah, and our opponent sees that that was their only out and don't want to carry on from there. I can see why. We were going to go for sacking the Reclamation Sage to victimize there, and then reanimating a couple of creatures, it doesn't really matter what, probably Ravenous Chupacabra and the Sidisi's Faithful. Sidisi's Faithful onto the Hangerback Walker and Ravenous Chupacabra onto the Thopter. And then we probably could have gotten in for lethal there. What's that, 11, 15, yeah. So we had lethal there if we got rid of these blockers, which we could have done. and then after that we actually could have gone for Lion's Eye Diamond and cast Reclamation Sage again to blow up another artifact if we wanted to, so a pretty convincing game for us. That was Muldrotha versus Breya. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.